Well, hey, good afternoon, everyone. Like Dr. Kim said, my name is Jonathan McMillan. I'm going to be a potential graduate candidate here at the University of North Florida. I currently go to the University of Tampa, which is not too far from here if anybody knows where that is. It's near USF. I am going to start my presentation. So a little bit about myself. Once again, my name is Jonathan. I'll be a graduate and undergraduate from the University of Tampa in the December of 2016, so that's when the semester's over. My dream is to become a university professor. I've received full scholarships to teach and both to study in Paris, France, and in Montpellier, France. And for those of you who don't know, Paris is at the top of France and Montpellier is at the bottom of France. And I've also lived and studied in Dublin, too, which is in Ireland, yeah. That's where I actually just came to live. This is my first semester back in America. And the University of Dublin, of course, is a Times Education Top 100 university. It's right up there with the Harvards and the Oxfords. This is a picture of me when I was at Trinity College in Dublin, and this, of course, was my TESOL teacher group in France. I taught with a group of 6 other TESOL teachers, and we taught every single grade except collegiate because we attended college. Now, teaching in France was one of my most enjoyable experiences ever. France it's a beautiful place. It's got a very unique history, and it has interesting rules that some American students it would be a bit of a shock to them. And one of those is, in America, we're pretty much free to wear what we want, so to speak. And what I mean by that is it's okay to dress like you dress. It's okay to wear a cross. It's okay to wear the hijab for anybody who wears the hijab, for any Muslim students in here. None of that is allowed in France. At the door, you have to take your hijab off. You would see students taking off the hijab, the full clothing. If you have a cross, it can't even be tucked in. You have to take it off. Basically it's a come as you are state. If anybody here has ever been to France, you see the laïcité at the top of every building, and basically what that means is a come as you are, we are all the same, and not we are all the same as if every person looks the same, but we are all the same as if we are all human, and they want you to come bare as you are, beautiful as you are, as a person that you are. This is once again our TESOL France group, and this was one of our French students right here in the middle. She's a great example because she was not from France. Like, she was born and raised in France just as you and I are American, but she is Indian by family. So much like Dr. Kim's daughter is Korean American, she's Indian French. But in France, another great thing to know is, and you can interpret this however you'd like once again, is it's illegal to ask somebody your race. So that's another interesting topic for us as Americans to come over. You might look at somebody and they're speaking French and you're like, wow, you speak really good French. Like, what are you? And that's not allowed because everybody is French. So it's a great concept, so to speak, because as generations continue on, as you build on that mindset, you stop, questioning as if there's something less than being American, if there's something less than being French. You are what you are. You came here as what you are. And it's a great concept by nature, in my opinion. Now, my most recent and longest-lasting teaching English to speakers of other languages that I've been doing is the Global Ambassador Program. I'm a Global Ambassador for the Federal Office of International Initiatives in conjunction with Georgia State University, which is the largest university in Georgia, I'm pretty sure. Next to UGA. It's right in front of UGA. I've been a global ambassador for the years of 2015 and 2016. I did not take a break while I was abroad. I just simply communicated with the students over an app called WeChat. A lot of these represented nations. The one I want to particularly focus on, China. A lot of students, there are some limitations on what they can have, so we can't communicate through our usual American social media lines of Facebook and Instagram because those avenues are prohibited in China. They have their own methods of communication, and that's something, as being a teacher to speakers of other languages, that's one of the things that you have to try to keep in mind to these people from other cultures, is that some of the, there are things that are different in their nations, and it's great to take into account some of these things, because if you can't ask somebody, hey, what's your Instagram or something like that, because that's not a thing over there. The more common app is called WeChat, and that's an app that is used among a lot of Chinese and Indian students. The reason why the Global Ambassador Program is headquartered in Atlanta, I know a lot of you are like, why in Atlanta, is because it's the busiest airport in the world behind Beijing. So we have a great avenue to channel these students from these nations in. It's a great program. We've done it for 2 years. This is me and all the other students in between these 2 years, and I'll go into specifics of each of those years coming up, because each of these years, it's a learning experience both for them coming to a new country and just as much as me being a teacher to speakers of other languages, because you learn new things about yourself when you teach other people. And I'm sure a lot of you have already realized that in your teaching environments or teaching experiences. And I'm going to start with the 2015 year, which was last year's. The represented nations in the 2015 years you see here were China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and India. And here's some pictures from our 2015 Global Ambassador Program. This was my first year doing the program, of course. Last year, it was, I'm not even going to lie to you, it was a very challenging event. I'm literally cradling these students, like the global ambassadors. We're there with them when they land in the airport. This is their first time in America. For a lot of them, it's the first time in a Western nation, period. So they haven't been to Europe yet, for maybe a quick stop, on their airplane ride here, but they've never been exposed, other than TV shows, to Western civilization, period. So you're there with them at the airport. You're there, once again, it was in conjunction with Georgia State University, so we house them in the dorming there. So we stay and live with them in the dorms. We are with them in the classrooms. So it's a very hands-on experience. But as you see, it pays off. You have some great experiences when you're this close to people who are much like ourselves, being teachers of English, speakers of other languages. You're putting yourself in a different situation, a new situation that you're not comfortable with, and all of this uncomfort comes to build great friendships in the end, in ways that you just can't imagine, because there's something about learning something new with somebody new that will forge a strong friendship. It's pretty much, honestly, to think of it on a very basic level, it's probably how you became best friends with whoever your best friend is. So this was the 2015 year. And let's skip right to that one. This was the 2016 Global Ambassador year. This one was equally, and this one just ended about 2 weeks ago, this one was equally as much of a learning experience, because I went in there with the mindset that I know this, I've got this. But really you don't, because it's a new group of people. So even though they're from the same country, many times the same schools in these same countries, they're completely different people. They have completely different likes, and times change. Things are different last year than they were this year. Prime example, the represented nations, just to give you a brief overview of the 2016 year, was very similar. It was China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, but it was also Turkey. And I know a lot of you, follow the news or know, any students who flew in here from Turkey there was a great amount of bravery that they took, because there have been quite some events with airports in Europe in particular, and the Istanbul airport, if you remember the recent bombing that was there. That's something that these students come in with. They already took the bravery, to go through the respective struggles in their nations to come, and now on top of that, they're in a new country. So you just have to keep things like that in mind. But once again, it's a great experience. Right here on my bottom right-hand corner, that was me and a bunch of the students, their first time ever actually at IHOP. And and while that doesn't seem like such a big deal now, these are things, a lot of these students grow up watching shows like Friends or shows like Orange is the New Black. Now, I know that doesn't have an IHOP in it, obviously, but but they grow up watching these shows, and they see these things in the shows that are not in their respective countries. So when we drive past them or when we do this, they're like, oh my gosh, look, that's it. And you have a chance, as a teacher at that moment to actually take them to something that they've been watching for their entire lives. And there's something rewarding about that feeling, to be able to do that. And I feel like all of us in this room, we'll all have the opportunity to do that. We've already taken that first step by taking this class. And hopefully, like I say, you continued this program. This was there up in the top right corner. That was a video of us at their first American beach. Now, of course, our students from Hong Kong, of course, they're on the coast, so they have access to a beach. But for the rest of them, they might have to fly out to the next destination to their beach, or they may have honestly never have even been to a beach at all. They may have been to a lake with sand, but they've never been to a full-scale beach. So to have these fun experiences, it's not just, it's learning, but, it can be learning in the physical sense as well. And here, I'll just show you the quick video here. So that was a little loud, but, just a brief video of all of us getting excited when we went to our first beach. And of course, and right here in the top left picture was the certificate picture. Just at the end of the program, if you pass the course, which I don't, to my knowledge at least, I don't believe any of the students failed, you've received a certificate for the program. So that's the students holding their certificates. The program is a full school year, every year, both years, and if you want to participate in the program this upcoming year, I think they're doing it this upcoming year as well, because it's through the Federal Office of International Initiatives. I will be more than happy to give you all the information, because I would love for you all to do it. That would be a great experience. It's directly related to TESOL, to anybody who's specifically in the program. And the long-lasting memories. When you're with people for 2 years, a full year, 2 years is the two separate programs, but when you're with somebody for a year in a country that they've never been to, and you've literally held their hand through everything, and then, of course, towards the end of the program, around the last 5 months of the program, they tend to go off and are able to be more independent and do their own things, but eventually the program comes to the end and everybody has to leave, and it's quite an emotional experience. I don't remember a single student that didn't cry, and I did cry during my first year. So it was, but it's a great rewarding experience. This is the letter that will be mailed out to one of my Hong Kong students. Kowloon is one of the districts in Hong Kong. But as hard as the ends will be for a lot of us, they say that a goodbye is just the window to the next hello, and that is represented perfectly right here. When I went back to Ireland, when I went back around, I believe, last October, I had a chance to fly out to France, and I saw my students again. So it's a great experience. They were in high school, and now our job as the teachers was to help them on the BAC, and the BAC is basically the French version, I guess you could say, of the SAT, the ACT. It carries a little bit more pressure because if they don't pass it, they don't go to college. So it's a little bit more pressure, but to see them pass and, to see them succeeding now, they're in college in their respective countries now, it's a great experience to see how everybody's lives will turn out. And I feel like that's pretty much an amalgamation, a summarization of TESOL in general. You're with people that you'll probably create lifelong relationships with. The program may have an end date, but your friendships won't have an end date. And I mean that quite in the literal sense. I mean, these are people that I literally did not physically see, until a year later. It's a great experience, and I hope you all continue to do this program in the future. And I did a quick, for some of the people who didn't know, like where she was in the picture. If you click on this picture right here, she's that student right there in the middle. And that's her right there. I was going to live Skype one of my students from Hong Kong to try to have an opportunity to meet you, but unfortunately, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in America is 6 a.m. time in Hong Kong. And when school starts at 7:30 and it takes them an hour to ride through the metro to get to their respective schools, it's kind of difficult to Skype them. So what I did was had one of my students, his name is Wei Ting Chiang. He went by an American name of Eddie. But and there'll be a lot of students like that who will, I guess, adopt an American name. He did a quick video for us, detailing some of the struggles that international students may face and what he comes to expect from a TESOL teacher, because he came here to America for the first time, first in his family, period, from Taiwan, to study here in America in a country that he did not know, his family knew nothing about. And afterwards, he's telling an experience of maybe what he expects some of us, to do in the future, because a lot of us will end up being TESOL teachers. So I'm going to play this short clip for you. Now, I just want to warn you, the English might be a little bad because, once again, we're teachers of English to speakers of other languages. So his first language is Taiwanese, but he did a very good job of cleaning it up as much as he could.
For the first time in America, I feel frustrated, and I don't know how to have a conversation with others. And I'm also worried about how people think about me. Did I say something wrong because I'm not familiar with English? But I'm also surprised when a guy who's walking in the store down the street. I don't know the guy, but he say morning to me.
Yeah.
I feel really warm. I like that feeling. So I would recommend teachers to teach students some common saying like no.
Yeah.
Eliminate the distance. I think is the most important thing for the relationship. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I know for a couple of us that might have been a little hard to understand. So let me, I guess, try to do a quick summarization or cleanup of what he was trying to say. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, basically, yeah. He was saying basically the one thing that he would recommend to teachers English, speakers of other languages who come here, or when you go over there to teach English, is to teach some common phrases, common things that we do, because they're taught the King's English, British English. So when they come over here and speak that's not what you and I will speak, in our day-to-day conversation. So when we say something that's even a little bit off key of that, there's a lot of confusion. Oh, and that's us at the Atlanta Braves game. It's our city's baseball team. That's me, and that's him right there with the big smile. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to come back to our class. So for the sake of time, how about this one? You guys in your group and all together come up with one question for the group, and then Jonathan can answer, and then our next speaker is waiting here.
Yeah.
So she's waiting, so it's a little bit behind, so she can be also, she can join our class. So first, just about 1 minute take time, what question you have, so that Jonathan briefly can answer. One group per group, one question per group.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
What we meant was, is there anything a teacher sort of like those multicultural kind of skills that you need to talk with people what's important is that to me
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, did you know that I also have a virtual office hours? So you don't have only come to campus, but during my office hours on campus, I can be available also via Skype or other tools, WeChat or KakaoTalk or Line, and whatever, Google Hangouts, anything you prefer, I have it. I also use it, so you can try out. And then also I have night office hours, 7 to 9 p.m. I think it's Thursday or night. You can look at that. So there are also nighttime if you have meeting with me via Skype, and otherwise I can also meet you. Okay, so now questions. It's your time.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Hey. Oh, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
So you travel to a lot of places, teach English to speakers of other languages. You're helping them, improve their English. Is there anything that they taught you that would help you be a better teacher to people of other cultures, be it multicultural skills, listening, speaking, anything like that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Yes, they did. It's not. I feel like, and the thing is, in college, it's a lot of book work. A lot of things that they'll teach you when you're actually with an employment agency or with a federal agency that deals with students. They prepare you for a lot of the hands-on things that you'll face So a lot of the cultural news events that are going on in the nation that may affect it. Like I said, the example with the recent Istanbul bombing in Turkey. A very quick and brief crash course on like the language. So like with this program, I had to do a crash course on 5 different languages, which can be kind of difficult, but it's fun at the same time because you will challenge yourself to learn these languages because you get hired and then you have about a month to prepare for 5 different cultures of people. So the excitement will it'll come up and it'll inspire you to learn those languages.
So like,
Awesome.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. No, was that an extent?
Like in all of these languages, can you have
Mandarin, Cantonese, French, Taiwanese. Now the thing is about 3 of those languages, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Taiwanese. Taiwanese and Cantonese are based from Mandarin. So because Taiwan and Hong Kong, of course, used to be members of China. So or Chinese expats, so to speak. So it's the syllables, the base syllables are all the same. So with the only exception is Cantonese has 9 as opposed to Mandarin's 4. So other than that, for 3 of those languages, this is not even really fair to say because they're fairly similar. So if that helps ease the... Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
When you went overseas,
Mm-hmm.
I know from being in the military,
Mm-hmm.
you were already advised of what places you could not go.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
have limitations on places you can go and not.
Yeah. The perfect example of that obviously would be France. I was around there when the bombings there. Actually, the girl that you saw on here, the Caucasian one, not the Indian one. She was actually near where the Paris bombings were. She had a class right there in that central vicinity. It was only because the teacher had canceled that class that she was not there that day. So there are certain areas that by nature you're recommended to stay away from, but the military presence in those areas will kind of help to show you that you're not supposed to be there. I mean, and honestly, and I don't want to, please take my words lightly on this. A lot of these places are a million times safer than America, and especially France. In France, officers don't have guns. Only the military have guns. So you'll walk down the street and there are officers there, but they don't have guns. Only the military have guns, which, like I said, you can view it however you'd like, but it's a fairly safe environment. The worst thing that you really have to deal with is like pickpockets.
how many kids in that grade?
The ones that pretty much the ones that you saw in the Global Ambassador Program, those were all collegiate students. The ones from Hong Kong were from Hong Kong Baptist University, which, funny enough, is not a Christian school. It's just called that because it was, as you know, up until 1995, Great Britain owned Hong Kong. But then, of course, they became autonomous and went back with the Chinese. Yeah, that was... Yeah. Okay.
So, like, obviously these people are coming here for the first time. They're probably scared. They're nervous. They don't speak English. Like, what are some tips you give, like, to somebody that, like, say we have a kid in our classroom that's, like, their first time in a classroom to help ease their nerves?
I would say...
And, like, make them feel welcome. And, like,
Yeah. I would say the funny thing is, with all of us being American, honestly, is we will almost immediately have some form of relationship with these students because American media in every country that I've been to is everywhere. Pretty much the same shows, the same songs that you hear on the radio are played on the radio there. Even in France, like you go to France, and most people don't even speak English. And you have Jason Derulo and you have Maroon 5 playing on the radio. Like, y'all don't even understand what the words are in some instances, but they play it. So I would say I would recommend music, TV shows are huge as well. So a lot of recent TV shows. I know with every country I've been to, and every country that I've had experience with, The Walking Dead was very popular. I don't like zombie shows, but I know in Atlanta that's where they filmed The Walking Dead, downtown. So I had that connecting point. I was like, hey, do y'all want me to take you down to where they filmed The Walking Dead? And they were like, yeah, let's go. So that's pretty much what I went, yeah. Finding connections, yes. Mainly through entertainment. That'll be, at least from American to whoever you're dealing with, that's where the connection's going to come from. I feel that, yeah. Uh-huh.
What brought you to this project?
Wow. I got a scholarship to study abroad in France for free, but the stipulation with that scholarship, because I'm an econ major in undergraduate, so that, yeah, surprise, I got that scholarship my first year in my undergrad. I went abroad and I studied in France in Montpellier for a year, and there was no experience like it. Like you're treated like a superstar there, so to speak. Like everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's American, like, and people, they see Beyonce and they see, the respective superstars from America, and they're like, wow, we have an actual American here. So it's a great, and I know that might sound like fictitious to some people in here, but that's the honest truth. Like when you go to these places, like they will always know somebody from America, even if it's just, President Obama. They'll know somebody.
Is it, since you went somewhere for a year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you experienced like homesickness and things like that.
Yeah.
Was that, are you glad you did that first in order to kind of empathize with the students that came over here for a year?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. Wow, and I've never even thought about that. I would say absolutely, because you have a connection point with people. You've put yourself in a similar uncomfortable situation of going to a country that you've never been to, and when they get off the plane, the gut feeling that's in there. So you can approach them, with a level of positivity and, readiness to have fun, that'll help ease their nerves. Because, for our students from Hong Kong, that's a 24-hour flight. Like, that's quite literally on the other side of the planet. So, to ease their nerves, from flying that long, that's that tension sitting on there for so long. So, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend doing a program if you can.
One more question.
Yeah.
When will you be leaving again?
I will leave to live in Hong Kong in 2 years. So as soon as I finish my master's and I sign it, I'm moving to Hong Kong with my friends that you saw in there. Well, if any of you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to provide my email address if you want information on the International Initiatives program. I'd be more than happy to give it to you. So I'm very open. You can treat me as if I'm here in the classroom with you all. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay.